That's too obvious, though. It's too obvious. Yeah, it was too rudimentary
I always
technology.
wonder about what those things are that people keep spotting. I mean, we don't really totally know about their capabilities.
As you know, I go quite deep on this.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean...
Do you go deep on it at all, Crystal, or do you just roll your eyes when you start talking UFOs?
I don't roll my eyes.
She just grabbed her drink. That's an instinct.
I don't roll my eyes. It's not like, I don't go deep the way he does. I find it interesting. I find it question mark, but I can't say I've gone deep down the rabbit hole in this.
There's more important things to concentrate on in the moment.
I wouldn't say that. I just say for whatever reason, it's not my thing that I'm super fascinated by.
The mystery of alien life.
Do you think that is a more male-oriented thing?
Definitely possible.
You think so?
Here's the thing. Out of all the people that I've interviewed that are UFO experts, they're all men.
Dudes.
Yeah.
All Sasquatch experts, all men.
Huh.
I have a joke about Sasquatch experts that I think they're all unfuckable white dudes. This is
Les Stroud is a fucking gem, okay? Don't say that about him.
The last thing you're going to find when you go looking for Bigfoot. Black people. You're more likely to find Bigfoot than you are black people looking for Bigfoot. It's like a bit I had. I go, it's all unfuckable white dudes.
There's like those shows of Bigfoot.
Okay.
Black people aren't buying it. They're like,
we got real shit going on in our lives. We don't need...
you guys get excited about this?
It is some white guy shit.
It's so unfuckable white guys.
My friend Essie Cup, who we had on the screen earlier, I wouldn't say she's a Sasquatch expert, but she's super into them.
Of course.
So it's a little tiny fly in the ointment of your theory here.
I don't think it's fair to put Sasquatch and UFO in the same category.
It 100% is. Because I hope they're both real.
Don't...
I hope they're both real.
I just think there's a lot more evidence on the UFO side. I mean,
yes, there is. But there's also evidence that there was an animal that was a bipedal hominid that lived alongside of human beings.
Oh, interesting.
An enormous one. Enormous one. It's called Gigantopithecus. It's absolutely real.
In the Pacific Northwest?
There was, it was in Asia. And this was during the time before the Ice Age when the Bering Land Bridge was available.
Right.
There was an animal that they discovered in an apothecary shop in China. And I believe it was in the 1920s. An anthropologist was there, and he found these enormous primate teeth. I might be fucking this up. I don't think I am, though. He found these enormous primate teeth, and he was like, what the fuck is this? And where'd you get this? And it led to an investigation. They found the site where these things were recovered, and they found more. And they found jaw bones that would indicate that this animal is bipedal, which means it stood up on two legs, and it was fucking enormous. Like 8-foot-tall, gorilla-like, orangutan-like creature that existed alongside human beings.
Okay, but we don't know exactly, when did the
We
teeth
know
or
for a
jawbone or
fact
whatever
that they
date to?
existed 100,000 years ago
Okay.
because of these bones. But that doesn't mean they didn't exist 50,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago.
Right.
We don't know. And if they did exist 10,000 years ago, it makes sense why the Native Americans would have many, many names for these creatures, and they didn't really have mythical creatures. That's what a Gigantopithecus would have looked like.
Jesus, wow.
So it was an enormous,
crazy.
a great ape that lived alongside us, and absolutely 100,000 years ago. And then they found many other creatures that were really interesting that we didn't know existed that absolutely lived alongside human beings. One of them was the Hobbit man from the island of Flores.
Yes,
so
yes.
that's
That one I knew about.
Homo floresiensis, I think.
that was
it's called.
Indonesia, I believe.
Yes.
Right.
Didn't they have some local lore also about that? Like the elders had some connectivity to when that species existed alongside of them?
Yes, they call it the Orang Pendek. And by the way, Hawaii has a similar legend. I talked to a gentleman in Hawaii when I was there recently, and he was this old timer. He was great, and he was telling me all the different names that the native Hawaiians have for things, and he was explaining how there was a creature that supposedly lived when the first people got here. Wow. And it was a small, hairy, ape-like creature that is similar to what's been spotted in Vietnam and in other parts of the world in these jungle areas. They call it the Orang Pendek, and it's identical to this Hobbit person. So when they existed, who knows? They might have existed 500 years ago or 100 years ago or 50 years ago. We don't fucking know. But we do know that there were a bunch of different kinds of ape-like creatures that existed alongside of us, and they think that these Homo floresiensis were really like close to human. They were like on a branch, like they used tools, they hunted, they worked together, and they might have communicated, they might have had a language. Like, we don't know.
See,
so
this is why I think it all connects to UFOs, where it's like, I can't
Yeah.
imagine but stepping back and dreaming of, like, Earth. We don't even know what it looked like 2,500 BC.
Right.
Beyond that, we have no idea. That's when written history begins. You've talked a lot with Graham Hancock, his Ancient Apocalypse series, and the reason why I think there's a connectivity is like, what's possible, man?
Yeah.
That's what the UFO thing. I'm like, and if there's ancient life here, or multiple forms of alien life, or some connectivity between that, or even past contact of all this, it's like our entire understanding of the world is just completely wrong, and I just find that so seductive, I guess, like that idea. Maybe that's foolish, and maybe that's part like a male thing, like you're talking about. But there's enough there that we can't help but be interested. We're like, what's happening?
You just persuaded Sagar he was just shitting on the Sasquatch people,
Yeah.
and now he's like,
Well,
all
it
in.
definitely
I'm talking more
existed.
about Homo floresiensis. and the idea that there was a human
Sasquatch-
civilization like a million years ago.
The Sasquatch is more likely because it definitely existed. Like, they know that within the time that human beings were alive, we're going to have stories about this creature. Now, whether or not those stories persist long after the creature's extinct and people pretend they see it when they're really just seeing black bears that are walking upright, which they
Right.
do all the time. I've seen black bears walk upright. And if black bears have a hurt paw, there was a black bear, a famous black bear in New Jersey, that had a hurt, it very badly damaged front paw, so it would walk on its rear legs. It would walk upright like a 7-foot tall animal.
That's crazy.
Which is just like, if you saw it through the trees, you'd be like, oh my God, it's a giant
I saw
ape.
one in Glacier National Park, and I was like, holy fuck, these things are so big. I don't
Yeah.
think people realize how big bears are.